Oh, right, back it up, Stella. Yes, Levi? Yes, you can move it back to where it belongs. Stella, let's head to this square right here so that you're not distracted by our remote learners. All right, we have plenty on. All right. It's 1:15, we can get started. So, our goals for today include calendar math. Remember we talked about measurement yesterday? What were some measurement tools that we learned from our video? Who can help me out? Catherine. What was one tool that we learned? A measuring tape. Yeah, Charlotte. Ruler. And what was the one that Ms. Golden brought out for us that we got to see? What was that one, Oliver? Kind of was like this long. Do you need help from a friend? Or are you still thinking?
No, I might need help.
You might need help? That's okay. Let's see who's sitting quietly. Crisscross applesauce. Kobe? A yardstick or a meter stick, but we pulled out the yardstick. So we're going to talk about maybe one tool that we could use, and we're going to continue developing time and writing time. So as always, calendar math, our number of the day is 53. Let's plot that right here in our special spot. And will you help me count up, buddy?
54.
I know, remember we're a little off this week? It's okay. We're going to practice with 53 because it's better to practice than to not do it at all, right? Yeah. So let's count up by tens. Ready? 53.
54. 56.
Oh. All right, on zero. Everybody, let's wash our brains a little bit. Let's clear that out. I think we got a little confused or a little distracted by repeating a number. If we count by tens, 53, what are we counting up by 10? 2? 6. Okay, that sounds much better. 63, continue.
73.
83, great. Now if we count back by tens, we're skip counting backwards. Start 53.
43. 33.
23. So now we've got some new parts of our calendar math this week, remember. Right here it's asking us to write the hands on the clock. So we have two different hands on a clock. What is one hand on a clock, Catherine? The hour hand.
Some people call the little hand or the short hand.
The hour hand, which is the little or short hand. Thank you for giving me both, Catherine. That was be my next question. And what's the other hand that we can draw on a clock, Charlie? The minute hand. And is that also short? No. Our minute hand is longer than our hour hand. Oh, yeah. Minutes are shorter, technically. Yes. If you're thinking that, you're right. So, can someone help me write the hands on the clock? On zero, my girls. Gail, if you can move over to that square so we have some space between us. John Thomas, what time does it say right here?
5:30.
5:30. So, what would I draw first? Which hand would you like to draw first?
The hour.
The hour hand, or a short one. And where would we draw that to? Point that out. The 5, yes. So I draw my short hand pointing at the 5 because we know that our number that comes first is our hour, and we're drawing our hour hand at the 5. And where would I point my minute hand? There's no 30 on this clock.
At the 6.
At the 6. Give me a thumbs up if you agree with John Thomas. Great. And how did John Thomas know that our minute hand was supposed to point at the 6, Gabrielle? Exactly. Gabrielle said we count by 5s on a clock. Remember we reviewed that yesterday? And we start with 0, 0, because on a clock we need to write 2 zeros, because that's how it's shown. We start with 0, 0, 12, and we go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And there we have 5:30. Thank you all for your help. Now reviewing coins. What set of coins, or what group of coins, would give me 53 cents? Who wants to help me out with this? Stella, you're glued right there. Remember? We're not moving. Anaya, what coins would you start with if we're going to get 53 cents?
2 quarters.
2 quarters, which would give me how many cents? 50 cents, because 1 quarter is worth how many cents? Levi, how much is 1 quarter worth?
25.
25 what? Cents. There we go. So we have 25, 50 cents, like Anaya let us know.
And add 3
And add 3 pennies, because a penny is worth how much, everyone? 1 cent. So we have 50 cents, 51 cents, 52 cents, 53 cents. Great job. All right. What would you measure a table with? Let's say we are measuring table 9. What would we use to measure that with? A ruler, a measuring tape, or a yardstick? What are you thinking? Who's somebody I haven't heard from yet? Michaela, what would you measure that table with?
I would measure it with a measuring tape.
You would say measuring tape? So remember yesterday we talked about bigger projects. We would use that measuring tape for because that could keep going and going and going. Do you think we would need a lot of inches and things to measure that table with? Maybe not. We could measure it with the measuring tape. But what's something that we have right here in the classroom that we could use? Matthew? A yardstick. Yeah, that would be one and done. We could also use a ruler, but we would need to fold our ruler over or hold our place and move it. So a yardstick would be a one and done shot for that. All right, crisscross applesauce, hands silent in our lap. Stop you moving. Interesting. All right, our number 53, is it even or odd? Mason, is 53 even or odd? Odd. And how did you know that?
Because I looked in the ones place.
The ones place. We know this. We've been working on this for so long. And the number in the ones place is what, everyone?
53.
Thank you over here. The number in the ones place, I even underlined it for you. I saw some people holding it up. The number in the ones place is 3. And we determine if it's even or odd based on the ones place. And does 3 go into 2? No, evenly no. So that's how we know it's odd. Expanded form, this is something new. Can one of my remote learners help me with expanded form for the number 53? Landon, can you unmute yourself and let us know what expanded form is for this number?
Expanded form for this number is we can do we can
Sit up, Virginia. Do you need some help? This is something we haven't really gone over yet.
no
Okay, keep thinking.
no
Exactly. Way to get there, Landon. You should be real proud of yourself. Tap yourself in the back for that. So Landon said 50. Oh my goodness, that was not a 5. 50 plus 3 gives us 53. And we broke that down into expanded form by pointing out our 3 in our ones place, which we just knew by talking about our evens and odd. And then if we had our tens place, we had 50 in our tens place, or a 5 in our tens place. And that makes 50. So that's something that is going to be new in our calendar math from here on out. So now, reviewing, telling time. For my remote learners, you need to be glued to your spot. I will move your pin if you move again, and that goes for anybody else that isn't sitting crisscross, hands in their lap, and glued. So my remote learners is on page 277 if you would like to follow along or look there, or you can continue looking up here. So first we need to make sense of this problem, because telling time is fairly new. We want to make sure we're making sense of it. Evan starts eating breakfast at the time shown on the clock. What time does he start eating breakfast? Before we think about the time, let's think, what is this problem about? What is this problem about, Catherine?
It's about
When Evan's eating breakfast. And what we're trying to find out is the exact time. So time, this is something that we're working on. And what is the important information in this sentence or the picture that we see? What's the important information, Nicholas? What's so important about what we just read and what we see? What's going to help us make sense of this problem and solve it? We need to look at the picture of our clock. Exactly. But what's something in our sentence that's really important, especially when it comes to time, like Nicholas said? Anaya? So yes, time shown on the clock. But what do we need? What other part about time that we kind of worked on a little bit yesterday? So Anaya just said Evan starts eating breakfast. So breakfast is at a certain time in the day. We need to be thinking about that as well. I think that's some pretty important information too. Don't you all think? Thumbs up, maybe? Yeah. So let's see if this important information that I picked out is going to get used. So it says you can use a time you already know to find the hour and minutes. The clock shows 7:15. Who had 7:15 in their head? Who had that in their head? Good. Great job. Which is read as 7:15. And we see our shorter or hour hand pointing at the 7. And we see our longer or minute hand pointed at the 3. So that actually wasn't the clock, but we see this clock showing 7:15. And if you know that 3 is 15 on the minutes, Gabrielle, please back it up. Thank you. The clock was pointed at the 4 earlier with the hour hand not exactly pointed at 7. So it's a little after 7. But what we know, as Gabrielle told us earlier, you count by 5s when we're counting by minutes. So that's an easy 5. Skip counting up by 5 gets us to 15. Skip counting by 5. That's my bad. 15, 20. So 15 plus 5 equals 20. And we know, even though it isn't pointing directly at 7, because it's after 7, it's in between 7 and 8, it still means it's within the 7th hour, or hour 7. Virginia, turn around, you're looking up here. So what time does Evan start eating breakfast? We said?
7:15.
So 7:20. The original clock showed 7:15, but when we added 5, we got 7:20. And it says AM or PM. Remember when I said we eat breakfast during a certain time? Levi, sit up, please. Do we eat breakfast in the AM or the PM? Nicholas, scoot your chair back or turn it around so you're not playing with things. Charlie? AM. And how do you think Charlie picked AM, Matthew? Why do you think he picked AM instead of PM? And that's in the morning. Exactly. And that's in the AM. So we're going to circle that so we know for sure. The clock over here tells the time when Evan finished breakfast. Tell how you know what the hour is. Who would like to help me with this one? It's not pointed at any specific number. Who can help me with this? Virginia. What hour is it on this clock? Oh, let's put our hands down. Hands down. All right, Virginia says 8. Because it's not pointing at 7, it's not pointing at 8. But it is in between 7 and 8. Does someone have a different hour that they think it might be, John Thomas?
I think it's 7:50.
So, I agree with John Thomas, and that's because, remember earlier how I was saying the arrow is pointing after 7. It's still in this 7th hour with a different color. So, if we continue it goes right here, and 7 starts here. This is all still within hour 7. Because if we went straight here, after that it would be 8. Does that make sense, Virginia? If it's after 7, but not yet at the 8, it's still in our hour 7. So, he finishes breakfast at 7. Let me draw our dots. And what is our minutes? What time? What time is that? Oh, and I heard from Michaela. 7:50. So Michaela says 7:50. Give me a me too if you agree. I do too. And you know how we can do that is if we start off by counting by fives. And I saw Michaela doing that in her head by pointing. So we have 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So we wrote 50 right there. Am I finished? What looks different up here? What do I need to include over here? Anaya? AM, because it is still the morning when Evan finishes his breakfast. How can you skip count to find the number of minutes on the clock when Evan finishes breakfast? We just did that, and Gabrielle let us know earlier, we count by fives. Flat in our lap, Matthew. Thank you. What time does Evan finish breakfast? Show the time on the digital clock. So, we wrote it right there, but on a digital clock, remember, that's our analog clock. On our digital clock, we would write our hour first and our minutes second. And Anaya let us know it is still in the morning. Because you don't finish breakfast in the afternoon. That means you took hours. That'd be a little ridiculous.
I do sometimes. You'd have to
All right, on 0. Thank you. So now we're going to apply this new knowledge to a new problem. This problem says, the top clock shows when Mark goes to bed. Write the same time on the digital clock. What time does Mark go to bed? Then we're going to circle AM or PM. So, what important information did we read and do we see? What do we read and see, Mason? What do we see that's important for us to know to help us solve this problem? Let's be looking at our board and listening for when our friends help us out. What do we see, Kobe, that's important to help us solve this problem?
We see the clock.
We see the clock to help us with the arrows, our analog clock, exactly. And what's in this sentence that's going to be important for later, Oliver?
Circle AM or PM.
Okay, so we need to circle AM or PM later. What's going to help us with that? What information in our word problem is going to help us with that, Kamari? Let's move on and move on. Catherine?
What time does Mark go to bed?
So he's going to bed. That's important for us to know. We need to think about when do you go to bed? Let's think about that in your head. Emily, turn that around. Let's not be sitting on a chair that way. So, Kobe said we need to be looking at this clock to help us figure out that time. Who can help me go from here? What are we going to look for first? You let me know. You let me know. Virginia.
The hour.
The hour. And what hour are we in? It's not pointing at a specific number. But what hour are we in, Virginia? 8. Great job learning from last time. So, Virginia, let us know our shorthand, it comes in between the 8 and the 9. But she knew as part of the 8th hour, because 8 starts here, and this is all within the 8th hour. And our hour comes first. So we write our 8 right there. And now, what are we going to look for next, Matthew? What are we going to look for next? We already have our hour. Now we need to know. We need to find or figure out. Class, what do we need to find next? We found our hour. Now we need to find the minutes. The minutes. That's what comes after. My remote learners, if you could see this clock or on your page, can someone let me know what is the minute hand pointing at? What time is the minute hand pointing at? I see Landon. Can you unmute yourself?
It's pointing at the 7 and it's pointing at the time of 9 to 8.
So our minute hand is pointing at the number 7 on the clock. What that means doesn't mean 7 minutes. Remember how we've been talking about today. When we count by minutes, we start with our 0, 0 at the top, and we skip count by what class? 5. So Nicholas, you want to count with me? If we're counting by 5s, and everyone else can join in too. But let's do this together. Ready? Go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So, on 0. So I'm going to write this out to help me visualize this better. Oh, I wrote that wrong. So we stop there, but I'm going to continue writing just to double check that I have the right minutes. So our minute hand, or our long hand, is pointed at the 7. So that means 35 minutes has passed. So how would we say this time? How would we say this time, Levi? What is this time? 8:35. And is it AM or PM, Charlotte?
PM.
PM. And why do you say PM?
Because it's in the afternoon. PM is like when we go to bed, and in the afternoon, like kind of when we eat dinner.
Kind of when we eat dinner. And that's all in the evening, at night, afternoon. We say PM. Emily, turn it around. PM. So 8:35 PM is when what? What were we solving in that? What were we talking about? Catherine helped us out this earlier. It's when
Mark goes to bed.
Mark goes to bed at 8:35 PM. Great job.
Even I thought it
Working through that. So, we cut this a little bit early because we have a minor grade. My online friends, this is on Seesaw for you. Some of you already did it, but not quite correctly. So I'm going to pass this out to my in-person learners in a second. But I want everyone to be listening to the directions because I don't need to explain this 17 different times. So you have this analog clock. And you all have it on your paper. You are going to cut out the hours, the different hour numbers, and the different minutes. The hours, you will cut and glue the hour here in the squares. The minutes, you will cut and glue in the circles outside of the clock. So you see that? The hour, you will glue inside of the clock in the square. The minutes outside of the clock in the circles. My online learners, you understand that? You can probably drag and drop that in Seesaw. Also, my online learners, for language arts today, you will not need to do that. Miss Golden is uploading a video.
I already did.
Oh, the video's up. Okay, so now the teacher modeling is up for you to watch. If you didn't understand it or were a little confused about it earlier, that's A-okay. The teacher model is now up for you to watch, and then you can use that. Yes, Landon, you have a question?
like I told Miss Golden, I had a lot of schoolwork today, and I only did a little stuff from yesterday.
Okay. Keep working through what you can at the pace that you're able to. Yes, Dylan T? You did the clock? Did you put the minutes on the outside and the hours on the inside? Yes? All right, if you're finished with that, great work. I just wanted to make sure.
Is Dylan A on there?
Dylan A is on.
He still has not taken his math money test from Friday.
Dylan A, you also need to take your math money test that you can find in the math folder from Friday.
I didn't know Mom about it.
Friday's folder. So go ahead and do that. And this clock minor assessment, okay? I'll see you all tomorrow. All right, my in-class learners, before we get up, what are you gluing on the inside and in the squares, everyone? Hours. And what are you gluing in the circles around the clock? All right, so when you return to your desk, you may do that now. Please get out your glue stick and scissors. Glue stick and scissors. Quickly and quietly, because this will be taken for a grade. Yes. Glue stick, you want to Class. It should be on 0. You are working on this independently because, as I said, this will be taken for a grade. Ms. Golden and I want to check your understanding with the hours and minutes on a clock. So put your name at the top, and then you may begin cutting and pasting. You can sit down and raise your hand, Nicholas. I'll check with that. Let's get working on this first. Oh. Yes, if you should have one. Let me see. Oh, that works just fine, right? If you need another one, go ahead and grab one. But let's try not to let them dry out. Thank you for patiently waiting, and you can get started.
But this is on 0.